What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Lean and Lionhearted podcast. Got a special episode today. I'm here with one of my clients. He just finished up his 6 months. So tell us, who are you? Where are you from? And what do you do?
Yeah. Well, my name is Pat Mazanik. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. My job where I am and what I do is I work for Best Buy in the logistics supply chain role, and I work with numbers all day, forecast, scheduling, planning, all that great stuff. So it's a little bit about me.
Very big numbers guy. We'll get into that. And you're from Chicago, but you're a Giants fan, New York Giants fan.
I am. I was born in New Jersey. I've spent most of my life in Chicago, though, but that's where I'm a Giants fan, a Yankees fan. That's where that all stems from. So I still have family, aunts and uncles all live in New York and New Jersey still, but my immediate family, siblings, parents, live out here in Chicago. But that's where I'm born from.
Okay. Being a Giants fan was cool about 10 years ago. It's not so cool right now.
Well, yeah, so got to take the good with the bad.
True fan, true fan. But yeah, man. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about like what was it like for you before we got started? Like where were you kind of at with your health and fitness? Like how did you feel and what inspired you to even consider getting coaching?
All right. Yeah, I always thought to myself that, all right, I'm eating healthy, I'm eating good enough during a week. It's probably okay to let loose a little bit on the weekend. I was doing a little bit of cardio and weights, maybe 20, 30 minutes, during the week. I just felt, with my exercise routines and cardio, the weights and all that, that it was like my tires were spinning in mud. I was same thing over and over and no results. I would think to myself in my head, okay, yeah, I worked out for half an hour. I'm good. I did all right. Everything's going to be okay. I can eat what I want and I'm okay. And it's not that I was eating terrible. I was eating pretty decent during the week, at least in my mind, but I knew something was off as well. Until this program started, was I eating enough protein? Was I even looking at my carbs or fats? I wasn't. I just thought, oh, I'm good. I'm not eating greasy and fast food and going out and eating junk. So I didn't think nothing of it. And at one point, I did take a look at myself in the mirror. And even though I wasn't always a big individual, I can tell, in my stomach and my gut, that it was definitely could tell I was in my 40s. I was no longer in my 20s. So I'm like, I need to do something about this. And that's where, I was lucky enough to, come across you and then kick off this journey.
Okay. So was it more of just when you looked in the mirror, you're like, man, that's not it? Or did you physically feel kind of not your best either?
A little bit of both, just because I think I just kept telling myself in my head, okay, hey, you did a 30-minute workout, you're good. But even though I could tell I wasn't seeing results, or the same thing was happening over and over. And I think it's what you're looking at insanity when you're doing the same thing over and over and you don't see any results, right? And I think that started, that set off a light, in my head, and then obviously seeing myself as well in the mirror. That all right, something had to. I got to change things up a little bit. There's something I'm missing. There's something I need to be better at.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you said you were doing all the beach body videos, the P90X, the Insanity. So how long do you feel like you were stuck and you were just spinning your wheels?
I would say I'd probably say about a good year. I would say, right? Because to your point, those P90Xs, Insanity. Yeah, I was doing those in my young 30s, like upper 20s, and yeah, I could tell I was feeling good. That was a thing back then. I could feel good then, but then as I hit 40 and then just started, I have family and all that. I was trying to crunch time together as well. That's why I'm like, oh, 20, 30 minutes a day. Oh, I'm fine. Everything's good. I'm getting the heart moving and all that stuff pumping. But then I realized this isn't the same results, the same things. I don't feel as good as I did when I was younger.
Okay. So I guess what do you think was in your way? Like, what do you think the roadblocks were? Was it just the knowledge, or what do you think was stopping you?
I think, you know, a few things. I think the knowledge definitely, right? Because, you know, I knew there was probably better exercises or workout routines that I should be taking on. I knew I probably wasn't having as much protein as I probably should, probably having a little too much carbs when and fats when you're looking at, all the numbers with what we're eating. So those were the main things, that really stuck out to me and that inspired the change.
Okay. So yeah, how did you hear about me and Lionhearted Coaching?
So I will say, on LinkedIn is where I noticed you. Obviously, with work stuff, we do stuff on LinkedIn and all that, and happen to just see some posts. And I can't remember the exact post I saw, but I think it was something, and along the lines of, hey, if you're, I don't know if you're not struggling or if you feel like when you're looking at, you're a working person and you're working, full time and all that, and you're finding struggling to, play with your kids or do different activities or
Mhm.
being active and feeling good, reach out. And I was like, I'm gonna reach out here. I want to see, what's out there. And then I started seeing obviously a lot of posts from you, and it's like, all right, this I need to not stop procrastinating and just reach out. And I think that's when I connected with you and you reached out and said, hey, is there anything I can help with?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, this is definitely not a thing like 10 years ago, or maybe a little bit longer than 10 years ago. Online coaching wasn't even a thing. I mean, I don't think you've ever had an online coach before, right?
This is a first.
Yeah. So, I mean, just finding me on LinkedIn and then kind of briefly talking, and then we talked over Zoom and everything. Like, what was your biggest fear or skepticism about joining the program?
You know, I think I was just, I was a little nervous with maybe depending on what that commitment was going to look at in regards to, the workouts, right? How, because with work, I'm a busy individual. Like I said, have a family, so obviously that's going to come first, and activities with our little one. As you found out early in the program, there's a lot of traveling taking place in a very short time, so very busy. So I was a little nervous with that because that's also back in the day what got me off of those insanity and beach body routines because as you would progress, right, they become longer. I was like, oh, it's an hour to do all of this. I'm like, I don't have an hour. At least that's what I was telling myself. I didn't have that time to be able to do it. So what can I do to, shrink that? So I believe that was my biggest concern, as well as, my eating habits, right? I didn't think I was bad, but I also knew there were some things I probably could have eliminated from what was in my daily weekly habits of eating, especially on the weekend, where how was I going to be and how am I going to be able to do this in regards to what I should be eating and all these workouts. I think those were two things that definitely had me a little bit nervous at the start.
Okay, so you're a little nervous that what I was gonna give you, whether or not it would fit within your lifestyle, and then two, whether or not you'd be strong enough to follow the diet, even with your all of your picky eating. I remember that was a very big point that we talked about on the call. You're like, hey man, I'm a picky eater, so this
And
might be
that's
a little
another,
tough.
and that was another thing because when you think healthy, it's like, oh, you probably have to have some kind of seafood or you're having spinach and you're looking at all that stuff. And that, yeah, I am extremely picky eater. It drives my wife crazy that I'm that picky of an eater. So that was definitely played a role as well.
So is your wife's not picky like you?
She's not. She'll eat anything and everything. So she probably wishes I would expand my horizon a little bit more. But I've always been someone that I can eat the same thing over and over again. She can't. So once this program started and I was able to start understanding and know how to track everything, it was a little easier for me because it's like, okay, hey, I'm enjoying this food. I don't, I don't mind it. I would eat this anyways. Now I'm just portioning it the way I should be.
Okay, that's cool. So I'm just curious, do you not like the way seafood tastes, or are you just more comfortable eating, like the chicken and the steak and everything?
I've always been a chicken guy since I was little. There's always chicken. I could eat chicken 7 times a week just if it's done differently. Just yeah, never seafood. Just when I was younger, I tried it a little bit here and there, just like taste and textures and all that. Just kind of if it's swimming in the ocean, I don't want to eat it.
Okay, I got you. Well, yeah. So it's been 6 months now. Like we you actually were not as hard with the diet as I thought you would be because you were just very adamant to tell me that you're a picky eater, but you're pretty good at it. So in the last 6 months, like what specific results have you seen so far?
I'll be honest, I've seen results that I wouldn't even bet on myself at the time when I was starting the program. Um, the key things, day two of the program, when I weighed in the morning, I'll never forget, I was at 200 right on the scale, even. I think that's the heaviest I've ever been, or since obviously weighed myself. Throughout the journey, the different uh, type of meal plans, the amount of food I was eating, the workouts with, continuously to, um, raise the level of cardio, the steps a day, all of that combined. The biggest things for me is I weighed in this morning. So my last weigh in this morning was at 162 flat. So 38 pounds from day two to today. And I've also lost 6.5 inches off my waist. I think I was telling you not too long ago. Um, and this is a good bad. It's like none of my clothes are fitting anymore. It's I think I can go back to my younger days and in my waist with my jeans and all that. The size shirts I'm wearing and all that. I would never imagine or even thought of that amount of weight I would have lost in the right area because really the focus was, in my stomach area. I wanted it to be leaner, be stronger and tighter there. And I didn't like what I saw 6 months prior. And then with the waist, I just those two things I would have never bet on myself at the start.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm being honest, I didn't think you would go that far. I mean, because originally you wanted to you only wanted to lose, I think, 20 pounds. You wanted to get to 180 and then build up. And we got to 180, you're like, I mean, my abs still aren't there. Let's keep it going. And then you just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And it's it's more funny because it's not like you were some crazy big guy either. 200 pounds and you're like, what are you like, 5'10, 5'11?
Yeah, 5'10.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not like you were like an enormous guy, but 6.5 inches on your off your waist was like a lot. Um, so what's um what's one big win that you're super proud of accomplishing since you joined?
It's you know, to me, it's just the knowledge that I gained from this program, right? The understanding of the importance of what a day or a week should look like, and what you should try for when you're looking at that breakdown of the macros. When you look at proteins, you're looking at carbs, and you're looking at fats. Just having that knowledge now for me is huge because there's as I've shared with you before, like I'd be eating cereal on the weekends, having my fun cereal on the weekends and just eating that nonstop and be like, oh, it's okay. There's not a lot of fat in there. Yeah, there's sugar, but it's okay. Wasn't even thinking carbs because I don't know, I just wasn't thinking carbs. Uh, but just the knowledge now to know that even though some of the things I've been eating during this program, I was eating already, especially at lunch at work or maybe dinner. But just knowing that I was extremely off on the amount of protein that I should be looking to take in, and some of the things I should be eliminating when it comes to certain things with carbs. Um, that that knowledge I have now has helped me throughout this whole program and will continue to help me as I'm moving on in regards to knowing that, okay, hey, I know this is where I should be or planning ahead, right? I know it's not ideal to, not to do it every weekend, but hey, I got a trip coming up in 2 months, right? I got a vacation, maybe I'm going a little lighter, the week before to be able to maybe enjoy a couple days on vacation, not worry too much. Just having all that information is how you track proteins, fats, and carbs with the numbers is a huge win. One of many for me in the 6 months.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what I told you on our first call. Like, I don't plan on coaching anybody until the day they die. I would hope not. And so that just means that along the way, I gotta teach you more about nutrition, about training, and then also like how does this all fit within your lifestyle? Like how do you have these healthy habits to where you can take it on for the rest of your life? And I mean, it helps that you're a big numbers guy. You are super, super intricate with your numbers and very type A, which was great. And you also asked a lot of questions, which I think helped you out a lot. You were very communicative and you got the answers fast because you were just willing to ask.
Yeah, and that was huge. Having that, being able to have that interaction with you, and you being there to know that, hey, it's not anything I ask is not going to be a question maybe you haven't heard of, or for me to feel unintelligent to ask. I was just asking, and you being able to share insight and be straightforward and be honest and be able to share, and then give me some tips and all that throughout the throughout the time definitely helped. It's huge.
Yeah. What do you think was the hardest part or hardest thing to learn?
The hardest thing to learn was, I think when I first started, and I'm sure you remember, I think I kept telling him like, hey AJ, this is a lot of food. This is more food than I typically eat. And it was like, hey, can we change it? Can I just do like another protein drink or something to offset? Because it was so much food. And I remember you saying like, yeah, we can do that, but like down the road, you're probably gonna wish you had the food, back. And I remember I reached out to you not too long ago. I'm like, yeah, be nice to have some of that food back to eat. But just that I thought was going to be just a struggle with trying to you know keep up with the amount of food and then stay in that window that I needed to. And I will tell you, at first it was tough, but I I made a commitment to myself as well that I'm not just doing this just to do. I'm doing this for a purpose, a reason. I'm committed. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure I'm learning. I'm staying in line with the program because I was very confident in the talks with you that the results that could happen if I stayed on par with it. And I remember you said it's tough at the beginning, but once you get there, it's easy to maintain. And I think the last couple months have been easy for me to maintain, and I've still lost weight, but it became a lot easier than day one was.
Yeah, yeah. Once you really find the structure of like how you like to eat and how you like to build your diet, and like for you, you had a lot of things almost every weekend or maybe every other weekend that you always wanted to enjoy. And I think one of the biggest benefits of the way we do things here is that you still get to live your life. There's obviously going to be a trade-off at some point where you have to kind of sacrifice a little bit, but if you can still live your life and enjoy it, you're going to be more inclined to want to keep doing this for the rest of your life, as opposed to if I always said no to everything and you hated it, by the end, you probably would have been just chomping at the bit to go crazy and eat a whole cake or something.
Exactly. And that's what, some people, when they knew I was on a program, because at work, right? Typically at work, people bring in stuff like, "Oh, you want?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm good. No, I'm good." And they're like, some people be like, "Well, yeah, that's cool, but I want to be able to eat when I want to eat." And I said, "Well, I can. I still am." And people would look at me shocked when I told them like, have ice cream every day almost because I was having the Magnum bars to start. Then I'll be honest with you, I almost felt like you broke my heart when you said, "Okay, I'm taking the Magnums away. Have these, have something else." I was like, "No!" But then when I tried those Yasso Greek yogurt bars, I was like, "Wow, these are really good." And I
Yeah.
was like, I was able to have that, I still had Pringles or, I had the Hershey's Kisses. I was still able to have a lot of things I enjoyed. And I think people are like, I would never have thought that. I'm like, yeah, it's just now it's just understanding and knowing, okay, can I have that? Right. I told you what, when you said, hey, I'm adding 100 grams of carbs for each day this weekend. And I'm like, oh, I'm working tomorrow and I already have tomorrow planned out. I don't know what I'm going to do. And it's like, oh, I'm gonna have some Cocoa Pebbles. It's easy to drive those carbs up. It's just how easy and natural that is for me now is remarkable.
Yeah, yeah. It's awesome because, like I said in the beginning, like it always starts off with a lot of food, but I mean, I'm sure you felt like, dude, this is so much food. And then you look at the scale and it goes down and you're like, all right, I guess it's working, but man, I'm so full. And then as
Yeah,
you kind of build your knowledge, as you're tracking more things and you're getting more flexible, you have this kind of knowledge bank in your head of different foods that do whatever you want them to do. So like if you're really hungry, you want to eat something that's a little bit higher volume. Or if you have a lot of extra carbs, maybe you want something a little more carb dense so that you don't feel like your stomach's gonna explode. And Cocoa Pebbles is always a pretty good option, right?
yeah.
But yeah, so what would you say to somebody who is maybe on the fence or skeptical about joining the Lionhearted coaching program?
I would say don't hesitate and move forward. Because if you're already at that point where you're thinking and you're on the fence, there's probably a reason that you're at that point. You're probably looking to gain that knowledge, the understanding. There's probably something that you're trying to accomplish, and knowing that you're out there, someone that really is there for their clients, is there to help, you know, coach them through to get the knowledge to be able to, after a program's over, to still be able to do what they've been doing. I would tell them to move forward with it. I know there was times as well when I do check-ins and you'd be like, hey, you didn't follow this or didn't track that, why? So it wasn't just if I didn't do something, you let it be. You would call me out on it, to make sure, because you wanted me to accomplish my goals. You wanted to make sure I had everything I needed to get to those goals. And then you weren't just sitting back. You were very proactive and active, with me. So anyone that's thinking about it, um, you know, move forward. Don't hesitate. It's an exciting journey, one where you will become knowledgeable. You will definitely get results you're probably looking for, whatever those results are. Every individual is looking for, and feel better that you made the choice to move forward. I will tell you, I was hesitant as well, just about my busy life. Um, was I going to be able to commit to this and do it? Because you think 6 months, like, oh, 6 months, it's a half a year, it's going to take forever. And I don't know if I have time. And I have all these, holidays and vacations coming up. There's no way I'm going to set back. And it flew by. You see the progress every week, the knowledge you gain, the workouts, the cardios, everything you understand. It's second to none. And anyone thinking about it, you won't be disappointed. Move forward.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I have nothing left to say. I'm going to end it there. So, thank you everybody for listening.